Hi, this is Phillip sitting on the steps of Château Avensac. I just wanted to explain, I'm sitting here by myself and not with my husband Mark, who would normally be absolutely very involved in these videos. In fact, he's editing the videos that we're producing and he'll be editing this video. And I just wanted to explain what's going on in this situation. So back in the spring of 2021, he started having some difficulty with his legs. He kind of had this numb feeling in his legs. And he's had problems in the past with stenosis in the spinal column, which is where calcium builds up where the nerves come out of the spine and starts pinching in on the nerves. And I think 6 or 7 years ago, he had a procedure in his neck to clean up the stenosis and the calcium buildup, as well as he had 4-level fusion. And absolutely successful surgery. He was in the hospital for a day and he went home the next day, wore the very rigid collar of shame for 6 weeks to make sure his neck was okay, and has been fine ever since. So when this started, we just assumed that this is kind of the same thing. And the situation kind of progressively got worse during the year through the summer. And so we finally, started going to a doctor to address it. And it took a little time to kind of get to the right place. So at the beginning of 2022, he was in the hospital for a few days for tests. They did a whole bunch of tests, mostly to rule out some serious conditions, which included some MRIs. And in the MRI, they saw that he had very bad stenosis in his spine, kind of in the mid-back, between T7 and T8, if you want to find out where that is. And also a little bit lower down, in between T11 and T12, he had a lesion, which is a fancy medical term for something that shows up on some imaging, like an MRI or an X-ray, and you don't know what it is. It was originally thought that this lesion was something that would go away on its own with some physical therapy, and so he went to physical therapy for about 3 months. And then a follow-up in April saw that the lesion hadn't really changed at all, but his condition was significantly worse. He could only walk for short periods of time, stand for short periods of time. So he had an operation in the beginning of May. It was actually 2 operations in one. The first one was to clean the stenosis in the T7, T8 vertebrae. That wasn't really the cause of the problems of his legs, but it was a problem that would need to be addressed. And the second was to biopsy the lesion, and if possible, remove it or remove part of it. And the neurosurgeon said it would just depend during the operation when they actually are in there to know what they would be able to do. It was expected that he would have the operation, and a week later, he'd be in the hospital for a week, and a week later he'd go home, he'd have to take it easy for a little while, and then we'd sort of be back, working on the house. Unfortunately, when he woke up from surgery, he was paralyzed from the mid-chest down, could not move his legs at all, and this was an unexpected outcome. The doctors did another MRI after the surgery, and they determined that he had edema, which is inflammation in the spinal column, and this edema was compressing the nerves, which is why he was paralyzed. And his prognosis is very positive. They said the inflammation will go down, it will take time, and as it goes down, he'll regain his abilities. However, they made it very, very clear this would not happen quickly. It would happen very, very little steps. After spending 3 weeks in the hospital, he went to a rehabilitation center for 2 days. We had a rather bad experience there, so he came back home, and while we were waiting for another rehabilitation center, which took about another month, he was home. We got some physical therapy for him, and then at the end of June, he went back to a new rehabilitation center, which is significantly better, and this care is much better. His main focus is on physical therapy. Medically, there's not really anything more to do right now, and is really to get to physical therapy. And so at this center, he gets physical therapy twice a day, usually for about an hour and a half a time, plus there's some additional time spent in the gym. He has been improving, and it is slow, and it's step by step. But where he was after the operation, he could not move his legs, his hips, or control the muscles in his lower back, so he could not sit up on his own. He can now sit up in bed on his own. He has a lot of movement in his right leg, and his left leg is very dumb right now. It's very sleepy, but he is starting to get some control over the thigh, his left thigh, contracting the muscles. And in fact, last week he was in this apparatus that holds him up in a vertical position for standing, and normally the apparatus is holding him up, and for the first time he was able to actually stand on his own while in the apparatus. He has to kind of hold on for support and balance, but he was actually standing on his legs. So things are improving, and it will take more time, and we don't know how much, and no one will say, but we do know this is months and not years. And as much as we'd like it to speed up and get going, it's just going to take its time. So while I'm here recording, he is at the Clinique de Verdèche, which is about an hour and a half away. I have been renting a vacation rental down there for the month of July and August. I will probably rent for September as well. And about twice a week, I come back to the Chateau to just make sure everything's fine, take care of anything that's to be taken care of, meetings with the builders. So we're still moving forward with all of the work on the Chateau. I usually spend the night and then leave in the morning or afternoon the next day. So I'm with Mark every day. We are hoping that in the fall he will continue his physical therapy, but hopefully he'll be able to do this from home. We are able to get it. For a while, we couldn't even get him in a car. So we've worked with that. He can now get in and out of a car. And so that opens up some doors for his care. And so we're hoping in the fall that he'll be able to come back and direct everybody from the Chateau itself. I don't know if everybody working the Chateau will be happy about that, but we're just pushing forward. If you're interested in his medical journey, on our website at the Chateau, it's 2 T's, A-T-T-H-E, Chateau, CHATEAU.com. In the title bar, there's a heading called "And the Rest of the Story," and that is actually a separate blog that's just about his medical journey. He has, I think, 3 entries at the moment now. He doesn't blog often. He's been doing it about monthly, but kind of talking about what's going on and how he's doing and that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, feel free to check that out. You know, he writes with a bit of humor, and he does not hold back in these entries, and he pretty much talks about everything. So if you're like, oh, well, how does he do so and such or such and such, it's in there. It's all in there. Anyway, so we just wanted to just talk about this. It's something that's happened to us, particularly the hip, of course. And it does have an effect on our work on the Chateau, but we are moving forward regardless. And his prognosis is very positive, so we are hoping in time he will be up and about around the Chateau. All right, thank you.